Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of my challenge that's been running this week, your high ticket head start. It's really awesome to be live. Now, I've got some questions that people have submitted in advance, and we're going to go on to those in a few moments. But if you're watching this live, we are streaming it to multiple locations. So if you're watching this live on LinkedIn or any of the, or Facebook or YouTube, it would be great if you say hi in the comments. I'd love to know that you're there and you're watching. And sometimes this funny thing happens where it doesn't show me like the name of the person who is actually posting. So when I did this last time, several people posted and it came up like it's an anonymous thing. So please do put your first name when you comment, just in case it doesn't come up on my screen, because I'm talking to people hypothetically when I know them quite well. So it's awesome to be here. Now today is the final day of my high ticket head start challenge that I've been running this week. And we've been focusing across the 3 days that we've already done on you and your status as the expert in your field. We've also mapped your price point and offer, and we've looked at how to make your offer irresistible to your ideal client. Oh, yes, and we've got some people watching. Hello, hello, hello. It's great to have you here. So I would love to hear, like, if you've been following along with the challenge, like what you have enjoyed, what have been the things that have jumped out to you. And today is an opportunity for us to have some Q&A time. So, oh, hi, DG. Great to have you here. Yeah, today is the opportunity to get my input on some of the things, because what we've been working on as we've been going through this has been like you kind of doing a lot of the groundwork. And this is really important because it's about building a strong foundation as a corporate consultant. I'm not one of those coaches who's like, oh, hey, you can do 6 figures in 30 days. I don't think we need to put a time frame on it or make it stressy or difficult. But at the same time, corporate consulting, if you have the right experience and background from your career, it can be something. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take 5 or 10 years for you to get established and to make 6 figures in revenue. It can be something that if you price your services correctly and you understand where the value in your skill set really lies, and you're able to pitch it in a way that really communicates that value to your ideal client. And for this kind of scenario, the ideal client will be a corporate firm looking to bring you in to share your expertise with their organization so that they can achieve their goals and objectives. If you are able to do that in a way, there is no reason why you can't go straight to 6 figures in revenue. So it's not about making it like a time challenge or putting scarcity on there. Like, for some people, it takes a while for that to happen. But my whole goal as a business coach who works with women entrepreneurs who are looking to be corporate consultants, this is something that I live to do, to give you the skills and the confidence that you need to go out there and create an amazing business. So I'm keeping an eye on the comments. If you have questions, feel free to submit them as we go through. But I do have some questions that people have emailed in advance, and that's always an option as we go through the challenge. You can send me your questions. So the first one we have is quite simple. Where should I start? What should I do first? And I think this is a really good question. It makes a lot of sense why we should kind of be, there's so many things that you could do. Like, how do you know where to jump in? How do you know what to make your biggest priority? And this is something that I think we often, in the entrepreneurial space, we can pick up some information and advice that maybe isn't as relevant to a B2B, business to business selling model. So as a corporate consultant, when you are making sales, it will largely be as a result of relationships that you're building and conversations that you're having. And very often those conversations will be in person, or if they're over email, it will be one-to-one email. It won't necessarily be you emailing like a list of 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people and doing like a click to buy kind of course offer like an entrepreneur would do. It's much more about going in to meet your client in person, or sometimes you know, if you're working internationally or across different parts of the country, you might actually be doing some of those conversations over Zoom or Teams or something like that. But I want to say to you, the thing that you should do first, don't fall down a rabbit hole. Don't kind of learn how to do TikTok. Don't kind of think that you have to set up an email list and start doing marketing emails to a list in order to drive sales. That's something that there is a time and a place to do. You can get that done at the right moment, but that's not the thing that we start with. The thing that I think is the first thing that you should do, obviously, I want you to work through the challenge material if you haven't already, and make sure that you have covered those grounds, because it matters that you are clear in why you are an expert in your field. It matters that you understand the criteria that is involved in that. And it also matters that you have your price point right, and that you know what your offer is that you're going to be making. And it incredibly matters that it's a really good offer. We've made it irresistible to your ideal client by positioning it correctly around the needs that they have. But the thing that I think is really important, that I want you to take away from this, if you take away nothing else, the most important thing is how to understand like how B2B sales works. So it's not about, like I've said, it's not about getting like an email list. It's about starting to build relationships with key stakeholders who are going to be the decision makers for the work that you're doing. There's a lot that we can say about that, and I go into more detail about it in my course Profitable from Day One, that I'll be sharing a little bit more about towards the end of our time together. But that's a really important thing. I think sometimes we can feel like, oh gosh, I've got to get a perfect website, I've got to learn all these online marketing techniques. Actually, for a consultancy business, you don't need to do that. It's the most important thing you can do. And I don't know if this sounds a bit like 1998, but actually pick up the phone and speak to people. I don't mean mass call everyone that you've ever met. I mean, know strategically who the right people are for this offer. And if you've gone through the challenge materials, you will have picked up some information about actually what that means, and like who the perfect market for this offer is. Start building relationships with people who fit that criteria. That is the number one thing that you can do, because actually, if you're smart, you can start doing this even before you have pushed the button and gone full time in your consulting business. You can have sales in the bag before you even leave your corporate job. So that's the thing that I think is really important to do first. That's the thing that I think you should start with. Don't get carried away. Yes, you'll feel like you need a website. You actually don't need a website to make your first sales. But even if you do decide to go there and create a website, do like a really simple 1 or 2 page website. Don't make it your life's work. Don't feel like it has to be like a $10,000 investment. It really doesn't at this stage. The most important thing is that we get you out there, creating these relationships, leveraging those relationships. That is the number one priority that I want you to have. So I hope that's a helpful answer to our first question. Like I said, I'm keeping an eye on the comment box. So if you want to submit a question now live on the call, please do. That's a really good way to use our time together. I do have a couple more that people have submitted in advance. So another question that we've had is, what if my ideal client won't pay what I want to charge? And I think this is a really good question, by the way, because I think that it captures 2 things that I want to say in response to that. And the first thing is that whenever you're in a situation where you have priced something very carefully and you're basing it around your expertise, if someone who you feel is like an ideal client then is like, oh, I don't think I want to pay that, that's too much. The first question that a lot of women ask themselves is, oh, I've got the price point wrong, it's too high. I actually think the second response that I want to share with you is more likely to be the thing, and that is, are you sure they're your ideal client? Because if you know what you're doing, if you know that there's a market for the service that you have, and like, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I don't want you to feel like you have to get everything perfect. Being an entrepreneur, and like when you're a woman consultant, like, you are an entrepreneur. It's not like you're one thing or the other. But the really important thing with a lot of this is that actually we don't always know. We don't always have everything worked out. We don't always have the answers printed neatly in a card in front of us. A lot of the time you're jumping in and you're finding out some of the answers to these things on the way. So I don't want you to feel like, oh gosh, if someone says it's too expensive, that means you've done it all wrong. I think the question to really focus on with that is like, are they actually your ideal client? And what I have found, like, over the last 8 years of being an entrepreneur myself, is that actually sometimes we can be really sure that we've got the right avatar for our ideal client, and then actually we assume that the people we're talking to, they fit that avatar. But if they're your ideal client, they won't have a problem with paying that amount of money. And it can take some time to find the right audience and the people who actually, they're going to see the value in what they're doing. They're going to get really excited about it. They really believe in you. They really like know that you can bring value to their organization. Often if people are saying, oh, you know, that's not the right price, either they're not in the right place, you know, they're not ready for that level of expertise that you can bring, so they're looking for something smaller. Either that, or actually they just don't want it badly enough. It's not important enough to them, because if it was, they would put budget behind it. And there's all kinds of things we can say about that, and I go into this in the course, that actually it's really important to understand who you are speaking to. It's really important to understand the context of the organization that you're looking to work with. You can have all of these things that you think they need to know. The things that they will put budget behind are the things that are strategically important to them, because their board, their directors, their CEO, they are under pressure to deliver things according to the criteria that their organization has set out. So if you want to be successful in that kind of situation, you really have to understand like who you're speaking to and what things are going on for them. So like in terms of like, what if your ideal client won't pay what you want to charge? I think it's really important to just be really upfront and just be like, if they're having a problem with it, yes, there's a small chance that it could be because like the offer isn't priced correctly, but it's much more likely to be because they are not the right person, and this is not something which is like hitting the right mark with them. So always aim high, aim as high as you can. Like when you're speaking to prospects, you always have the best chance of success if you go in at the CEO level. That's a really important thing. Oh, okay. So DG's asked a question in the comment box. Is there anything that can be done to help them want the change that badly? I think that's a really good question. And like, I think that maybe your perspective could be the other way around. You can't necessarily make them want something. I think you have to kind of understand what they are looking to do, because they will make budget available for things that are an organizational priority. Whereas actually, if it's something that, and this happens all the time, there are loads of things that it's like, everyone needs to know this, but actually people will only come into something if it feels appealing to them, if it feels like it matches up with what they are looking to achieve. So you have to be quite clever in the way that you position things, because sometimes it's like they want this, but they need this. And so we go in talking about what they want, and then we deliver what they actually need. And as long as you can do that in a sort of joined up way, then that can still be a really fulfilling outcome. It's very possible, to be honest, to be like, well, they want this, but I'm going to give them this because that's what they need. And then they didn't get this, and so they feel frustrated, even though you've met like what you know is the right thing for them in that situation. So to be honest, you can't really make them want something that they don't want. And I think that's where it's important to do research, and it's important to understand like what situation they're in and what things are important to them. So I hope that's a helpful answer. Feel free to follow up with another like question if that would be helpful. But that links quite nicely actually to another question that we had submitted in advance, which is, how much should I test my offer? How much research should I do? And I think that, again, that's a really important question to be asking, because sometimes we can feel like we have to get it all completely right. We have to know everything there is to know. I think women tend to do this a lot more than men do. Like, you need to have done a complete kind of research project and written like a whole research paper with like an executive summary for yourself on like, you know, the rationale behind what you're doing. But I think that it's important to be able to be a little bit scrappy sometimes and be like, do you know what? We don't make money in our businesses because we're perfect and we do everything right. We make money in our businesses because like we are meeting the need that our client has. That is the important metric. It's not about kind of having something that's like perfect. It's like something that's it's taken 100% of our time and energy. It's about delivering what the client needs and expects to like 110%. That is the important metric. That is what value in your business is predicated upon. So I think that's a really important thing to take away if you're looking at your offer, because it's not a straightforward thing that we've been doing this week. And it's not necessarily the kind of thing, sometimes we have amazing clarity and we're just like, this is who I am, this is what I need to do, therefore this is what the offer is going to be, and it all comes together. Sometimes there will be like key components of it that you're like, I'm fairly confident of this, but I need to test out that bit. But the thing that I would want to say in that situation is that we often feel like if we just sit and think about it, or ask our friends or even our business friends, if we do that for long enough, then we'll get a perfect offer. And when it's perfect, we can put it out there. Actually, something that is much better and much quicker is to put it out there even when it's in an imperfect form, and put it out there so that we can test it with the right audience. So, and actually that can be quite a good way to attract people in. You can talk about the fact that it's a beta phase. You can talk about the fact that it's something that you are developing in conjunction with several partners. And that can be a very good way to make your first sales, like to get input, but it needs to be from the right people, not your mum, not your best friend. They can give you lots of encouragement if that's available, and that's good, but they can't tell you what the organizations, unless they work in those organizations and they would be the budget holder for the kind of thing you're looking to do, they can't give you that helpful feedback. So that's what I want to say on that front. It's good to understand your audience. And to be honest, a lot of the women that I speak to who are thinking about doing this kind of thing, they do understand it because they are like, they have come from that environment. So, you know, you've been in those meetings where people are talking about what the organizational objectives need to be. You understand like the rationale that has been used for hiring people, and it's about realizing that now you're on the other side of the table. And so there's a lot of information that you already have just by the fact that you're experienced and you know that your industry, you know that area really well. So that's always something that's really useful to draw on. Now, the thing that the whole challenge that we've been doing this week has been gearing towards is the launch of my course, Profitable from Day One. We've had the doors open this week, and they will remain open until this time next week, next Friday. I want to say the 9th. Yes, it is the 9th of September. The doors will close. So if you are interested in learning how to create a consulting business that can generate $10,000 a month in revenue, we have skimmed the surface this week doing the challenge, but the course has a load more information there. The course goes into like all the other dimensions that you need to think about, like what it's actually like to be a consultant, but like what you need to do to grow your mindset so that you can do some of these big things. You can go outside of your comfort zone. You can pitch organizations. You can get out there and build your professional relationships, all those kinds of things. The course goes into a ton of detail on all of that and gives more detail on the things that we've covered in the challenge as well. So if you're interested in finding out how to get your consulting business off the ground, and it's called Profitable from Day One because when you do this, you can be profitable from day one. And that's not just something flashy that we've made up. Like, there is no reason, like I said at the beginning, why as a corporate consultant, you can't make the money that you want to very quickly. You don't need to have like a loss leading time. You don't need to have like a several year phase where not enough money is coming in. If you really do this properly, you can have your first sales in place very quickly and build a very strong foundation. Yeah, very strong foundation for the business that you want to have as a corporate facing consultant. So if you are interested in buying the course, I think I can be clever and post it while I'm live on here. Let's see if that works. There we go. So the website to go to is jessicafernley.com/course. The doors will remain open for another 7 days, so you can go in and find out all the details about what we have there. You can hear some testimonials from people who've done it already. The only thing I want to mention today is that if you buy the course by midnight tonight, then you are able to get one of a very limited number of 30-minute free strategy calls with me as an extra bonus as you buy the course. So if you're tempted to get my help, I am extremely good at what I do. I've helped a lot of women over the last 8 years, and I love working with women consultants. It's something that I live and breathe. So if you would like to take advantage of the expertise and the skills and the knowledge that I have built up in this area, buy my course. If you do it by tonight, then you also get a bonus 30-minute strategy call with me. So thank you everyone for watching today. It's been awesome to be here. Thank you for those of you who've submitted questions, and I hope that I've been able to answer them. I will see you all soon.